Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm giving people some time to get in here. I know I just went live, but I wanted to talk about this real quick because this is so freaking interesting and very much a true crime situation here, y'all. True crime situation. Get in here, get in here. Let's talk. Let me give the people some time to get in here, okay? Let's give the people some time to get in here. Welcome, everybody. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much, SW Chico. Cape, I see you. Tricky Vicky, I see you guys here. All right. We're going to give people some time to get in here. Okay. I'm going to put the elevator music on for a minute. Let people get in here while I set everything up, okay? Okay. Shout out to everybody. So, something came through my email. Shout out to the member that sent this to me. Shout out to Articulate. So, this was interesting. And I don't know if you guys have known about Joran Sloot and the Natalee Holloway case. Now, this case is literally about what, 2 decades old. At the time she was 18 years old, and she went on like a high school trip or something, like a graduation trip to Aruba with some friends, and the girl did not come back. She was from Alabama, and this was a huge story back in the day. It had so much coverage, just as much as who was it? My goodness, what is it? Madeline McCann. Another, situation. Now, let me tell you, Euron Vandersloot is somebody that a lot of us had kind of like it was known that he had done something, but he was so sketch with the authorities. So we finally got a little something something today. Okay, let's talk about it. Euron Vandersloot admits to killing the Alabama teen Natalee Holloway, judge says. So this man is like what, 36 now? Y'all remember that case? Yes, he did get transferred in and out. He did. Y'all remember that case, you guys? Yeah. So this is a very old case. Okay. So almost 2 decades after Natalee Holloway vanished in Aruba, the man long suspected for killing the Alabama team has confessed to killing her, according to a court filing. It's over. Euron Vandersloot is no longer the suspect in my daughter's murder. He is the killer. Holloway's mother, Beth Holloway, said Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, right? It is today. In a defendant offered information they know about a crime, often as part of the plea deal. Vandersloot, 36, pleaded guilty in a federal court Wednesday to extorting and defrauding the Holloway family. He was accused of trying to sell information about the location of Holloway's remains to her family in exchange for $250,000. This man literally dragged this family up and down everywhere. Chell, like, I'm just so happy to hear this news. The judge couldn't elaborate what he said happened to the bodies, but he did it. Gotta be totally insane. Absolutely. It's about time, right? It's about time. It's when you get stories like this and I'm like, damn, I remember this when this happened. I was in shoot, I was in undergraduate in my criminology class, and we would talk about the story in the class, and we would dissect it and be like, and this was, of course, before YouTube. I mean, blogging was always there, but this was before, like, I really knew about true crime YouTubers and stuff like that. So it's one of those things that if you're a millennial, like it's something would always stick about the story, especially with Natalie's mom. I believe Beth Holloway, I don't know if she got married or reconnected with who the hell, John Benet's father. Okay, so I think they were dating or something like that at some point. But that was a huge story back in the day. And it's so to hear that this girl got justice, I mean, like finally admitted to the killing of the daughter of Natalie. Finally, it was such an awful guy. Absolutely. It was about time. It was about time, right? So I guess he did all this in the court hearing. Holloway's body was never found. In 2012, an Alabama judge signed an order declaring her legally dead. But on Wednesday, a federal judge who reviewed Vandersloot's proffer said there's a reason why Natalee Holloway's body would never be found, though she did not elaborate. She did not elaborate. Interesting. But the death of Holloway and the Peruvian woman who Vandersloot previously admitted to killing prompted Judge Anna Manasco to sentence Vandersloot to 20 years for federal charges. I have considered your confession to be to the brutal murder of Natalee Holloway, the judge said after reading Vandersloot's proffer. You have brutally murdered in separate incidences years apart two beautiful women who refuse your sexual advances. Vandersloot, Vandersloot had been arrested multiple times in connection with Holloway's death. Mm. He was subsequently released by the Aruban authorities, who cited a lack of direct evidence. Vandersloot, who is serving a 28-year prison sentence in Peru for a 2010 murder of Stephanie Flores. Remember, there was another connection to him being like connected to this other murder. He was already serving this sentence. So he had been known for like doing this kind of ish, okay, to other women. Like this guy is sick. This guy was sick and is sick, right? Hold up, y'all. Let me get this. Trying to give something to baby buddy. Vandersloot will return to Peru to finish his murder sentence in the Flores case. Afterwards, he will return to the U.S. to start his prison sentence for the federal extortion and wire fraud charges. This has been an 18 years of mystery and misery. Holloway was visiting Aruba on a high school graduation trip when she vanished in 2005. This girl, shoot, what year? I don't even remember what year I graduated high school. That's bad. But she, we're about the same age range, okay? So while this was going on, um, she did a trip and everything, and this disappearance was a huge thing. Very similar to Madeline McCann. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, definitely looked creepy. Definitely looked creepy. Oh my God. Natalee Holloway's parents or uncle used to live on the same street as my parents, Beth's brother. This was really, it had so much coverage at the time, but this was like really before bigger like like real YouTube true crimers would cover things. So this is just so interesting, and I'm so happy that there's a level of justice. Now he's not a suspect, he is the murderer. He's the murderer. La mera mera, that's what people had said, that he had put her in the water. He had put her in the water. I know, Gabe. Where does the time go? Damn it. Where does the time go? Yes, yes, Panda. Yes, yes. Oh my goodness, this is great news. And I'm like, nobody's talking about this, yo. Like some of us that are like, true crimers, remember this story. Remember this. Putting the family through this tragedy only to make them suffer more by not telling them the truth. They knew he killed her. Glad he finally admitted, said PM Channel. Finally. Like finally. Because we all kind of knew that he did. Like we all kind of knew it, but we needed this man to say something. You know what I'm saying? This story had so much coverage at the time. Everybody talked about it. So the 18-year-old was last seen leaving a nightclub with Vandersloot with two other men, brother Deepak and I think it's Shadish Kalpo. The three men were arrested in 2005, but were released due to insufficient evidence. They were rearrested and charged in 2007 for involvement with the involvement in the voluntary manslaughter of Natalee Holloway or causing seriously bodily harm to Natalee, resulting in her death, a Rubian prosecutor said at the time. And, back then, I remember people were like, why are you these young peoples traveling to other countries? This is the kind of stuff that people should expect. Jen, I always assume that he put her in the water and like we're never going to find her body. Yeah, I've been to Aruba plenty of opportunity to dispose of a body in the ocean. Right, Amy? People have always assumed, and then people thought like it was always assumed that his family aided him to do it as well. Okay, let's get into this right now. This is a little update. This is the most recent thing I've seen on YouTube.
Joran Sloot was investigated for years after the disappearance of Alabama native Natalee Holloway. Now it seems he may be willing to give up some information about what happened to her. He is charged with trying to extort money from Holloway's family, and he says he is willing to accept a plea deal. Now, as part of that deal, he would tell Alabama courts how the teenager, Natalee Holloway, died and how her body was disposed of. Vandersloot's statements could be revealed as soon as this week, but for now, much remains under wraps.
My
Well,
goodness.
nearly 20
My
years
goodness.
later, we could soon find out what happened to Natalee Holloway. The main suspect in her disappearance expected to tell her family what happened to her in a court tomorrow as part of a plea deal.
And Shelby Rose is here now with an exclusive interview from EquiSearch founder Tim Miller, who's personally helped in the search for years. Shelby, good morning.
So they worked a plea deal, and I mean, he admitted he's not a suspect, he's the killer. Okay? He is not a suspect, he's the killer. Finally, breaking true crime motherfucking news. Okay? Like, we kind of knew this, that he did it. We knew that he did it, but now he has admitted it in front of federal court. He knows exactly what went down, what happened, and hopefully he gives whatever details that the family needs to figure this out and put closure, as well as, do something in this situation to bring awareness, right? This man, and not only that, this man is in connection with a 2010 murder as well. It's crazy, yo. My goodness.
Good morning. Well, the exact details of this plea bargain are not yet known. What sentence Joran Vandersloot will face in exchange for information on Natalee Holloway, but EquiSearch founder Tim Miller says he's hopeful they will make another trip to Aruba to find her.
Been a long road, and again, I remember the very first time I went to Aruba for the search for Natalee Holloway.
Texas EquiSearch founder Tim Miller knows the Natalee Holloway case all too well, personally traveling to Aruba 9 different times, sometimes spending months searching for her.
I was over
Wow.
there a long time on that one, and I think we covered almost everything.
I didn't know that Tim from EquiSearch was down there. That is amazing. That is amazing. Like, I know that he's been helpful. Hey, Wim. Hey, everybody. And I know I didn't even like greet everybody, but I was so excited about this news because this truly, like, I remember sitting in my in my criminology classes, not my true crime classes, my forensic classes. I remember sitting there and, talking to people about the Natalee Holloway case and how, are they ever going to find her? Is there ever going to be justice? How many years is it going to take? And then here we are. I had no idea that EquiSearch was involved. Shout out to Mr. Tim, because clearly he's been more involved than probably in a lot of cases than I'm aware of.
Square inch in Aruba with all the foot searching and ground penetration, and we took every resource over there that we had at the time, and we would certainly do it again.
But there's new hope. Her family will finally know where she is after all these years. Holloway went missing back in 2005.
This was a girl from right here in Alabama, an American girl that went over there to enjoy her high school graduation, and something went terribly wrong.
She
And those are the details that I hope that are released about what exactly happened to this young woman. Tinkle, thank you for being a member for 8 freaking months. My goodness. Shout out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beth also managed to get the Peruvian prison to try to talk to Jordan, right? That's a good question. I know, man, like Beth Holloway, imagine having to have conversations with the murderer of your daughter. Like, just imagine having to do any of that. And this woman has definitely endured having to deal with that. Just crazy to me. And Tricky Vicky, thank you for being a member for 3 months, love. Sorry I missed you. I just saw you though. Shout out to you. And I'm just so excited by this news, you guys. Completely excited.
Was last seen leaving a bar with Joran Sloot and 2 others. They were questioned at the time, but let go because of a lack of evidence. A judge declared Holloway dead in 2012, but we have never known how she died or where her body is.
I think this is the two things that Natalie's family has been wanting to know since 2005.
Sloot was indicted back in 2010 after he allegedly attempted to sell information about the whereabouts of Holloway's remains in exchange for $250,000. And now a plea deal has been reached. Her mother, Beth, specifically requested Miller to make the trip to Alabama to be there for the hearing.
She
Wow.
sounded positive, and I think she, of course, knows more than she's saying right now, and says it looked like Wednesday it's finally going to be over.
Beth Holloway is keeping a tight lip on the exact specifics of the plea deal, but Miller says Sloot is expected to tell us where she is.
Oh,
Let's just
man.
hope he's honest about what he's saying, and hopefully the family and the world get some answers.
I really hope that he is. Like, this man has nothing else to lose anymore. I really hope that he gives the peace and information that the Holloway family needs. And Elizabeth Landers, thank you for becoming a member. And freaking Rochelle, my Rochelle just gifted 5 members. Thank you. Yo, I have been feeling like I woke up and I was like, today's gonna be a good day. And it's just crazy to me that like hearing this news, it just really got to me. I'm very happy. Y'all don't even know. Like thinking back of talking about this case in 2008, 2009, and then here we are, hearing this news and being able to like talk about it amongst like-minded true crime people in the chat. This is just it feels really, really good. And Rashad, you just made me feel even better with 55 memberships left. Thank you for doing that. If you guys got a membership from Rachel, please put a heart in the chat. Thank you. It just, like, man, I'm happy to hear this, and I just really, really hope, yeah, I needed it because I've been so like sick in and out this past week, and the beginning of this week I was like, God, like my stupid sinuses, get us some good news, and this happens, and this is good true crime news, it's awesome news. I'm hoping for the best for the Holloway family.
Now, Sloot is already behind bars, but not for Holloway. He was transferred in June to the United States from a prison in Peru, where he was serving a 28-year sentence for the 2012 murder of a woman in a Lima hotel room. Reporting in studio, Shelby Rose, Fox 26 News.
Well, today I can tell you with certainty that after 18 years,
Yes.
Natalie's case, it's solved.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over. It's over. Joran Sloot is no longer the suspect in my daughter's murder.
Right.
He is the killer.
That's right.
In the course of his felony prosecution, here for extortion and wire fraud indictment, he gave a proffer in which he finally confessed that he killed Natalee. He described when and how he killed her. He said that after killing her on the beach in Aruba, he put her into the water, and that was the last that he ever saw her. That was all verified by a comprehensive and conclusive polygraph test. Even with this confession, though, he can't be tried here for Natalee's murder. But I'm satisfied knowing that he did it. He did it alone, and he disposed of her alone. I won't give you the details of his brutal confession.
My goodness.
Those will be forthcoming when the proffer is made public. You will also have details of the plea agreement which was reached, his sentence of the extortion, And the wire fraud will run concurrently with a sentence in Peru for killing Stephanie Flores. And that's fine with me. Thanks to a lot of very smart and dedicated people here, I got the answer I've been searching for the past 18 years. Joran Vandersloot's confession means we have finally reached the end of our never-ending nightmare. And for me, reaching the end of the nightmare, being over, is better than closure. It's been 18 years since Natalee disappeared, and Natalee would be 36 years old today. I still miss her every day. It's been a very long and painful journey, but we finally got the answers we've been searching for all these years.
That's right.
We finally, today, we got justice for Natalee.
My goodness, this is just yo, like that is he's 36 years old. Isn't that crazy? And shout out to Mel. Mel, how you doing? It's been a while. While happy she's finally have closure, he's a total coward and monster. She's extremely to be able, yeah, she's extremely strong to be able to read this for sure. Oh my gosh, thank you, Russia. Look at this. Lord have mercy. Thank you. Right, baby bunny. Baby bunny's also yelling, just like I am.
So thank you all so very much and being supportive of us in our long 18-year journey. Thank you.
Inside, you said your son said we did it. How do you sleep tonight? As a mother who has what she has today.
Yeah, I think we sleep well. I mean, this has been the most unimaginable journey, and I know everyone has been with us on this, and we are so appreciative of it. But for us to finally put this to rest and being over, as I said, it's better than closure because our never-ending nightmare had to end. And we are so grateful that we can say that today, that it is over. And that is getting justice for Natalee.
He said from the podium, he's a changed man.
Any indication?
Let me pause it real quick. Hekab, party of six. Thank you for becoming a member. And Rochelle, again, thank you for gifting. You are awesome. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. Y'all are awesome for doing that. If you received a membership from Rochelle, please put a heart in the chat as a thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me hit play on this.
That with his profession, there will be charges in Aruba.
Ooh.
I don't. I just know that there are no charges that will be here for his murder, but hopefully maybe they will look into that.
Do you need that, or do you have what you need?
No, I have what I need, but I have what I need.
Did you believe when he said that he's a changed man?
I definitely don't. I don't believe he's a changed man at all.
Ooh, y'all believe he's a changed man? Chico just gifted 5. You guys, if you got a membership from Chico, please drop some hearts in the chat. Yo, thank you, Chico, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Train Monkey is a member for 7 months. Yes, hit that like button. 250 plus watching, 104 likes. The math is not mathing. All right, y'all. Whim, whim, whim. Thank you for gifting. Oh my gosh, y'all just made my day. Like, ugh, I will get rid of these sinuses. Thank you, Wim, so much. And shout out to Dickie, Wim. Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all just made me feel this has made my day. Oh man.
How did it feel to see him in the courtroom shackled?
It feels victorious. I feel like you finally begin to transition from the victim to the victor, and it begins to make the pain and suffering feel somewhat less intense because you are here. You are at this point, the pinnacle of the journey, and you've gotten justice and you've gotten the answers you've been so desperately seeking. So it felt victorious.
Are you confident you got the truth out of him?
Oh, I'm absolutely confident. Yes.
That you had the opportunity to talk to Joran in the courtroom. What did you tell him?
I was able to tell Joran that I think in this long ending nightmare, he was able to express things to him that I had been wanting to tell him, as far as, telling him who he is. And he is a killer.
Oh man.
He is a killer. He will always be the killer. He will always be now the black mark in Aruba. He's now confessed to 2 murders. So that was good for me to be able to tell him that and to share that.
Do you hope that Aruba maybe reopen the case?
I don't know about that, but I'm just sticking with victorious right now. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about in the courtroom? They said that you sat as he was explaining what happened. How was that moment?
It is shocking and it is horrific to hear a killer that describing the brutal things that he did to my daughter,
My
Matt's sister.
goodness.
It's shocking and it is very disturbing. But it's things that parents have to know the truth. They have to hear the answers as to what happened in order to put this to rest and for it to be over.
Beth, did Vandersloot let you guys know if others are involved? Did he act alone?
Yes, he acted alone. Thank you all so much.
Beth, tell us about Natalee. Tell us about the 18 years before.
Natalee was very bright, very smart, dedicated young lady. She was on her way to college. She was headed to medical school after that, and I have no doubt she would have made it all the way. So we love her. We miss her very much. And we wake up every morning with thoughts of Natalee, but now we wake up knowing that we have reached justice for Natalee. So
she was truly the best sister I could have ever asked for. Absolutely.
My goodness.
Have you said a full and complete goodbye to Natalee at this point? Have you visited with her in your own way and let her know that you have peace with all this?
I don't know. I don't really look at it as saying goodbye to Natalee because we wake up every morning and the hope that filled her life and heart fills ours today. So we feel like we carry Natalee with us even forward now, and that's good. That's a very good feeling. It, like I said, it feels victorious. But thank you so much.
You ready?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Wow.
In just 2 days, Joran.
This is just, it's amazing. Amazing. In my opinion, amazing news that this is where we're at versus where we were at before. And I'm so glad that they did a press conference. Court TV just dropped this. Let's see what this was before. So this is the plea deal, what to expect. I'm only going to play portions of this.
Sloot is expected to plead guilty this morning in federal court to charges of extortion and wire fraud involving Natalee Holloway's mother. Now, Vandersloot was recently extradited, you might remember, to Alabama from Peru in order to face these extortion charges. His sentencing scheduled for October 18th, which is today, my friends. So that came up pretty quickly. He's serving a 28-year sentence in Peru after he admitted to murdering a Peruvian woman back in 2010. Holloway vanishing in 2005. She was on that high school trip, a graduation trip in Aruba. Last seen leaving a bar with Vandersloot. Court TV's Kelly Craft gives us a look back at Vandersloot's past.
Wow.
It has been 18 years since Natalee Holloway vanished while on a senior trip in Aruba, and 13 years since Stephanie Flores was murdered in Peru. Joran Vandersloot has been the #1 suspect in Natalee's disappearance, and he confessed to beating Stephanie Flores to death. Cole Thompson, a former Court TV senior producer, co-authored a book called A Portrait of a Monster. It profiles Joran Vandersloot and the many twists and turns in this case.
In 2005, when Natalee disappeared, I was working for Court TV. I was working with Catherine Cryer. It was just one of those huge stories that captured the everybody's attention.
This story had so much coverage at that time, yo. I don't know, like the coverage. I mean, similar to Madeleine McCann, very much a lot of coverage. So this just stayed with me because it became topic of conversations in many of my undergraduate courses in criminology. Like we were talking about all kinds of things. And I would imagine that if true crime is what it was, especially on YouTube back then, this probably would have gotten a lot of coverage as well. This man is I mean, I'm so surprised that it's taken this long, but this man did so much harm to this family, and this family stayed 10 toes down and made sure that, they stayed on his ass. They kept communication with him. They wanted to make sure he got in trouble. They knew that he had harmed their daughter, that he had killed her.
It was like OJ or John Benet Ramsey or Scott Peterson. 5 years to the day, almost the same thing happens again in Peru. And I just got incredibly lucky. Just through a series of acquaintances, wound up being introduced to the actual investigative team, the Red Ball team that was handling the homicide. And for some reason, they just took a liking to me.
In 2010, Vandersloot was in Peru where he met Stephanie Flores. But to get to Peru, he needed money. He got that money by allegedly extorting Beth Holloway, claiming he would take her to show her her daughter's remains for $250,000.
He approached the Holloways. He asked for this money. Now he's screaming entrapment. But he used this money to fund his trip to Peru, where another girl died. If he hadn't had this money, he would have been stuck in Aruba. This must weigh heavily on everybody involved.
This was back in 2010, so he was already involved in another murder.
Thompson was embedded with authorities in Peru. In the book, lead homicide investigator Captain Juan Callis Vargas tells Thompson this about the death of Stephanie Flores. The beating was overkill, savage, and the level of violence indicated that he had probably done this before. The level of violence had likely escalated over the years. Callan also described Joran as cold and calculated. Callan recognized that he was in the presence of pure evil.
He came from a fairly normal family, seemed like a child of privilege. Very early on, they figured that something was the matter with Joran, that he was potentially a monster. He beat one of his brothers nearly to death.
He is a narcissist, like complete. You see him as just like nothing. He doesn't give a shit. Definitely looks like he got away with a lot of shit when he was younger. I mean, seriously, I'm so happy to hear this news. I'm happy. He is no longer a suspect. He is the killer. All right? He is the killer. He's the killer. That's who he is. For the longest time he was the suspected person involved. No, now he is the killer.
Thompson shared with us surveillance photos from the night in Peru when Vandersloot killed Flores. You can see Vandersloot and Flores entering the hotel. Then Vandersloot exits alone. He also shared with us crime scene photos, an investigator's sketch of the crime scene, and Stephanie Flores' grave. A sad reminder that two young women who never met are so eerily connected.
Two families sitting there watching surveillance tape from a casino of their daughters and this man. The only suspect in either case.
That was Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft reporting for us. Now I want to bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who's standing by live for us this morning in Birmingham, Alabama, outside the federal courthouse. Chanley, good to see you. Set the scene for us, if you would, please. What's going on behind you?
Well, I have to say, Julie, I haven't seen a scene like this in so long, probably not since the Murdaugh trial several months ago. There are tents. We're here in downtown Birmingham, as you know. This is the federal courthouse behind me. You can see the media out front, the front door, waiting on the arrival of the Holloway family. And then I see to my left just a line of paparazzi, a line of tents to my right of media from all over the nation. They're waiting to get the photo of the #1 prime suspect in Natalee Holloway's 2005 disappearance, Joran Vandersloot.
The #1 killer. The killer. That's who it is. The killer. Crazy, you guys. Crazy. Hold up, y'all. Here we go. I'm going to play this one right here. And Alyssa, thank you for becoming a member, love. Shout out to you guys. All right, y'all, make sure you're hitting that like button, please. And thank you. This is great news.
We want to break away from those closing arguments to take you to Alabama, where we're expecting this press conference with Beth Holloway to start any second now. You can see the movement around that podium. There's our Chanley Painter is coming out of the courthouse, too. You just saw Chanley's face there. What we do know is that the details of what Joran Vandersloot claims happened to Natalee Holloway are coming out. Again, according to Chanley, he says he bludgeoned her to death. Part of the deal here for this guilty conviction and part of the plea deal set forth for Mr. Vandersloot was that he would stay with the he would tell the family basically what happened, because they have been waiting for decades to find out what exactly happened to their daughter, Natalee. She went on a senior trip in Aruba and never found out to what happened. They knew he was likely the person. He denied it for years. But now some closure, one would hope, for Beth Holloway. According to her attorney, they were part of this scenario where she got to listen real time to his confession. So Beth Holloway was there listening to him. And
My goodness.
in court today,
Can you imagine having to listen? Like, he admitted to it. He admitted, he confessed in front of a federal judge, in front of federal court. He did it. He is no longer a suspect. He is the killer. Shout out to everybody from Alabama. I see people in Alabama in the chat. Because you guys were saying you all remember this story and the following, and so many rumors, so many things that happened with this situation, what people were saying. He finally admitted it. He did. Yes, mama never gave up. The family never gave up.
Joran says he bludgeoned Natalee to death after she refused his sexual advances. They went home, and then he went home and I guess went on a porn website. Natalee's parents heard this again as it was happening. The bottom line is the plea agreement was 24 months in prison to be served in Peru. It's going to run concurrent with his current term, which ends in 22 years. And then after release, he'll have 3 years supervised. It'll be a supervised release scenario. And there's Beth Holloway.
So he actually murdered another woman in Peru. That's another thing. This man did that, right? And I believe that was in 2010, Stephanie Flores. So he was doing the most. Okay, he was doing the most. P.S. Thank you so much for the 11. You are awesome. Thank you for being here. Um, it- I think the whole world remembers. Absolutely, Gen Z. He deserves the worst. Listen, I'm with Tinkle Tits. Like, why is it the sentencing, life in prison, let him freaking rot, or something more? Something more. I know they said concurrent. He is. He is. You remember? Yep. I remember Beth going down with Nancy. Remember? Nancy Grace covered this case so heavily. So heavily. I mean, this was just, I don't know. Like, I remember following Nancy Grace back in those days too. Crazy, right? Like, I'm happy for the good news. But he finally admitted it in front of a federal judge. He said what he did to this young woman. Okay? This man is a sadist. He's a monster. He 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 had everybody, all the paparazzi following him, taking pictures. He loved that attention. He loved that attention.
Again, expecting to hear from her momentarily, a press conference. He also has to pay $25,000 in restitution. But one would have to think this was all about her, Beth Holloway, and her unwillingness to give up in terms of getting answers for what happened to her daughter. She has a number of allies that have helped her through this process. Greta Van Susteren been very instrumental in all of this over the years, helping to get to this point. And this point is so important for her. As we wait, let's bring in Matthew Mangino. And Matthew, I'm going to cut you off if we get Chanley and or Beth Holloway, that press conference starts. But your thoughts, you're a former prosecutor. This was a special sort of deal because of that relentless work from the Holloway family, their attorneys, and other advocates that really pushed.
Well, no question. They never gave up on this case. And it's interesting the way it evolved into this extortion charge, which he was brought back for. What's surprising here is that, he's admitted to murdering Natalee Holloway, and he's never really going to be held accountable for that because there's a 12-year statute of limitations in Aruba with regard to murder, which is unlike the United States. The United States, in most states, if not all, there's no statute of limitations. So
crazy, yo. Y'all see how these laws work? Sometimes they work, they don't always work for you. And every country is a little bit different. Every city, you know what I'm saying? So it's very important to even keep that in mind. But what is also, it's so interesting, and I was looking at the chat, somebody pointed this out. People need to, if he was around young women, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if he's connected to other murders. I wouldn't be, or other disappearances that we don't even know about. This is just, we just happen to know about these women. What if there's other ones and we just don't know? Yo, there's a lot of tourism in Aruba. There was a lot of what if he connected to other women and we don't even know?
You admit to a homicide 20 years after it happened or 40 years after it happened, you can still be prosecuted. But that's not the case in Aruba. But this does bring some closure for the family. Certainly, they know what happened to their daughter, however unpleasant it is to hear that. So it's not unusual to have a plea deal in exchange for information about victims, which is what occurred here in this case.
Yeah, and that it's hearing that your daughter was bludgeoned to death after she refused the sexual advances. It's actually the worst case scenario, but it's probably what she knew all along. A scenario like this. Our Chanley Painter is outside the courthouse now and is joining us. Chanley, let's start with what transpired inside that courtroom. We know a little bit, but please fill us in.
Right, where to begin, Ted? Let's begin with the big news, and that is Joran Vandersloot has admitted to, during a proffer with the family of Natalee Holloway, listening in and watching him do this with the federal authorities, to bludgeoning her to death. The last night that she was seen with him at the bar during that 2005 graduation trip to Aruba. We learned more details sprinkled throughout this hearing. We learned that Natalee Holloway refused his sexual advances. He didn't get what he wanted. He bludgeoned her to death. We later learned from something the judge said that it's likely the Holloway family will never learn where her remains are.
Like, that's crazy to me. She did not want your sexual advances, and what the hell do? You killed her. Like, I cannot understand this piece. This man deserves to die, rot, eye for an eye, whatever. Like, I just cannot believe that all of this, and here we are.
And we know that he was also sentenced to the maximum here that the judge could give. So in this plea agreement, he agreed, of course, to proffer, cooperate, to tell the truth. They vetted his story. They agreed it was truthful. And now he will serve the rest of his Peruvian sentence along with this maximum 20-year sentence in prison in Peru. So I guess that was a benefit to him, that it wasn't consecutive. It would be a concurrent sentence. He waived his right to appeal this decision as well. So in mitigation, his attorney said that he cooperated, he was open and honest, and that, of course, he agrees to not pursue this any further. Inside the courtroom, Ted, during the statement of Natalee's mother, I mean, it was emotional. I'm trying to flip through my notes. Let me find some of my notes. I don't know how much you said of what she told this court, but let me find that section in my notes, and I want to read some of what she said.
Yeah, take your time. We have not heard much from what Beth said. We're just getting some reporting on the sentence and what Joran claimed he did to Natalee, and that's that bludgeoning. But yeah, what was it like? What was her demeanor?
You mentioned Joran. He spoke today before Beth Holloway did. He spoke on his own behalf. When he entered the courtroom, it was about 10 minutes early. No one was expecting him to walk in so soon. He towers above everyone that was on his team there in that part of the courtroom. He's a big guy. He had his shoulders held back, his chest up, his chin up. He was confident. He smiled. He greeted his attorneys, and he answered the judge when she would ask him questions with, "Yes, ma'am. I do, ma'am. Yes, ma'am," with his...
Oh my goodness, yo, Cambry, and that we always thought, I think a lot of people always thought that he probably killed her and put her in the water. That's what we've always assumed, that is what happened. Like, but I mean, he's confessing to it. He is not the suspected killer. He is the killer. He admitted to it in front of a federal judge.
Accent, but this was the longest time we did hear him speak. And he says, "I want to apologize to the Holloway family." He further apologized to his own family. He went on to say that he hopes his statement that he gave, his proffer, his admission to being the murderer of Natalee Holloway, provides some kind of closure to the Holloway family. He went on to say that he no longer is the person that he was 18 years ago, 15 years ago, in 2010 when he defrauded the mother who'd been searching for her daughter for...
Yeah, people don't change like that, yo. Like, I'm no longer a killer. I'm no longer a narcissist. I'm no longer a sadist. I'm no longer a serial killer. Oh my God, I cannot.
5 years nonstop, hoping for an answer when he extorted Beth Holloway. He says he's no longer that person, that he wants to confess to what he did because he's found salvation through Jesus Christ while incarcerated. And it was in that moment his voice trailed off. I'm sitting right behind the 4 to 5 rows of the Holloway friends and family inside the courtroom, Ted. In the moment when he said that he had found Jesus, they all looked at each other, rolled their eyes, and shook their heads like They couldn't believe what he was saying.
Well, he's going to need Jesus while he's in prison. That's for sure. He's going to need Jesus. I hope that he really did find Jesus. Okay? Jesus, I'm telling everybody always finds Jesus in prison. Like, help me understand. Okay? They can't find Jesus outside of the jail, but you find him in the prisons. Get the hell out of here, man. Get out of here with that.
It was a short statement. He sat down, and then, of course, the judge says that she considered these victim impact statements that were both written. Natalee Holloway's mom, Beth Holloway, she stands, everyone is just so silent. She stands, walks to the lectern, Ted, stops, turns around, looks at Joran sitting there at counsel table for a couple of seconds and just makes eye contact with him. And then she turns back to the lectern and she begins reading a short statement that she prepared to say. Here's some of what she said. She says, for 18 years, Joran, you lied about what happened to my daughter. She makes emotional pauses while she speaks. So confident. I don't know where she gets her strength. She held it together. She says, and finally, you admitted to murdering her. These are when we learned inside the courtroom exactly what he did. She goes on to say that you bludgeoned her to death. And in these moments, the gallery starts to sob. She says that you are a killer and you didn't get what you wanted, your sexual satisfaction, so you bludgeoned her to death. You are to blame. Your family is suffering. I know I'm getting kind of a rap in my ear, but I want to just completely share. She says, we have something in common. We both have a daughter. And she goes on to talk about his daughter and how her daughter will never return. And Ted, I'm being told we have to go to break, so we can just talk about this on the other side.
Yeah, all right. We're going to get the break in here, and then Beth Holloway is going to speak, and we'll have Chanley with us as well.
My goodness. I know. And we heard Beth, by the way, speak already. I love how they say they find Jesus when they've been caught, right? Why they always got to find Jesus after they've been caught, after they've been convicted? They can't find Jesus before that? Like, seriously, I get and I'm not trying to, like, yeah, I am making light of the situation, but it's like this man put this family through the ringer, okay? And I would imagine if that was my daughter, my child, okay, like, yo, you gonna need Jesus. You're definitely gonna need Jesus for what I'm about to do to you. It's crazy to me. Crazy. Hold up, y'all. Sorry.
Well, today, her family hopes to get some measure of justice.
And this morning, the prime suspect in her disappearance, Joran Sloot, expected to plead guilty for trying to extort money from Holloway's family.
But according to the Holloway family attorney, the court will consider a plea deal this week with a major special condition.
My goodness.
WBTM 13's Patsy Douglas is live and local outside of the federal courthouse where Sloot is expected to arrive just hours from now. Patsy, what do we expect to happen today?
Well, according to Holloway's family attorney, Mr. Sloot could reveal some details about how Natalee died.
Crazy.
Of course, this is definitely going to be some information.
And this was before all of this. Now we know a couple of details. It sounds like allegedly she was bludgeoned to death, and then I'm thinking put in the water. That's what I'm hearing. Now, Beth Holloway did not put that out there. This is what everybody is suspected had happened based on what's been put out there. Other people have suspected. Hold up, y'all. I'm trying to exit this. People have suspected that this is something that had happened. Hold up. Man, my screen is messing up. Give me 1 sec, guys. 1 sec. Sorry, guys. I just had somebody come in. Give me 1 sec. So it's been a lot of details that have been shared, but we don't really know. And I think that more stuff will likely come out.
Is due in court this morning and now expected to plead guilty.
And I'm trying to find more details as we're talking because everybody, their reporting is a little bit late. Details. Hold up. Let me see if I can. Gruesome details. We might have already seen this one. Hold up. Let's see this one. Yeah, this is Law and Crime. Here we go. The lady's muted, not me. Girl, you're muted. Hold up.
Death or involving the death, we're going to find out, of 18-year-old Natalee Holloway in Aruba before she vanished in 2005. Today, Vandersloot actually pleaded guilty to extortion and wire fraud for trying to sell information about the location of Natalee Holloway's body to Natalie's mom. Now, he was sentenced to 240 months in prison. The defendant is currently serving another 28-year sentence in Peru for the murder in 2010 of Stephanie Flores. He's going to finish out that sentence before heading to the United States to serve time on the extortion and wire fraud charges. And our very own law and crime correspondent, Terry Austin, is out in Alabama now to bring us the latest.
Come on,
Terry, I am
lady.
so excited to have you join us because I am
Okay,
excited.
she's driving me crazy. Hold up, y'all.
Well, today's court hearing was very interesting because the plea deal did include information regarding the murder and disappearance of, we know, frankly, Natalee Holloway. And initially, he was here, obviously, just for the two charges under United States law for the wire fraud and for the extortion. So clearly, Linda, he pled guilty to that. But in the statement itself, there are details, and we haven't seen all of those details, but we do know that he did admit to killing Natalee, and he did admit to killing Stephanie Flores. He did admit to putting Natalee's body in the water.
Okay, here we go. So he admitted to putting the body in the water. Wim just gifted 5 gift memberships. Thank you so much, Wim. Shout out to Wim. If you received a membership from Wim, please drop some hearts in the chat, as well as everybody else, Rochelle, Chico, people that have gifted. Wim, if you guys have received gifts, please drop some hearts. Thank you so much, Wim. Look, so now here are the details that this is what we've been waiting for to know exactly. I know I was one that suspected he probably put her in the water. Other folks in the chat have said the same. We thought he put her in the water. We kind of felt like that was because it was so much body of water. But here's my thing, yo. We only know of Stephanie Flores from Peru, and we know of Natalee Holloway. We don't know of how many other women this man might have hurt, might have murdered, might have killed. He's always had Tricky Vicky. He's always had that smirk on his face, always smiling for the cameras.
We don't know many other details. I will tell you that the judge was very good at providing the information to the parties. Anna Manusco, she is the judge here, and she went back and forth between the defense and between the plaintiffs. She made sure that, the defendant here, Joran Vandersloot, understood what he was doing. He was giving up his rights, he was waiving his rights, and he pled guilty to these 2 charges. And
wow, that is, I love the detail. And Danisha, you're probably right. I'm kind of wondering if any actual family helped him, because, come on now,
as you said, he will be going to Peru to finish out his sentence there, and then he will be coming back here to finish the sentence here. And she did give him the maximum, and she explained why. She said it was a brutal crime and that it was very difficult for the family. We also, Linda, heard Beth talking about in her victim impact statement how difficult these years have been since 2005 when her daughter disappeared, and how they have been patient and they have been waiting, and that she does feel as though this has been a victory for her and her family.
And focusing on her, when Joran Vandersloot was giving his allocution, telling the judge about the fact that he did admit to killing Natalee, were other relatives in the courtroom, either his or other relatives besides Beth? And what was the feeling in that courtroom when you first heard that for the first time?
Well, Beth is in the room, and her husband, ex-husband is in the room. Matt was in the room. And when the defendant stood up to speak, he didn't, say much. All he said in the courtroom versus what he said in the plea agreement was, I am sorry for what I did. I am sorry to the Holloway family. I am sorry.
He said, I found Jesus. That's what he said. I'm so sorry. It took me 18 years to admit of what I've done. I had to, do a little extortion and stuff. I had to, murder other people potentially, and possibly be involved. And I found Jesus. Amen. That's what he said.
To my family, and I am a different person from what I was at the time, and I have quote unquote found Jesus. So he
That's what he
kept
said,
it short.
Jesus.
He, made sure he apologized, and then he sat down. Now, our understanding is that the plea agreement has much more information, and that it is admitting to the 2 deaths, and that it is admitting to how he did it. We did not get that detail from the judge, although, as I mentioned, Beth, the mom, did mention bludgeoning, and I'm assuming that that is all in the plea agreement. Otherwise, we would not have known that. So very interesting information should be coming out once that is made public. I think we'll have far more details than we do right now. Right now, I think the closure comes from knowing that he did it. And one thing I'll say is during the press conference subsequent to the conviction and the sentencing, Beth did say she was certain, based on the plea agreement, that he was the only one involved. So
he knew details about the situation. There were undercover reporters. Y'all, listen, if you followed this story back when it happened, there were undercover reporters. There were people out there looking and doing all kinds of cover up to make this man confess and everything. And now it finally, in front of a federal judge, he admitted it. Okay? He did it. He put this family through the ringer. It's been like what, 18 years? He wanted to extort this family. And then another woman too out of Peru, Stephanie Flores, may she rest in peace. The mama, Beth Holloway, she always knew that this guy was the guy that did this to the daughter.
There seems to be quite a bit of details in that plea agreement where he's talking about exactly what happened, when they left that bar, where he took her, how he did it, and what he did with her remains.
Terry, is there any scuttlebutt around the courthouse about why he would agree in the plea agreement for wire fraud and extortion to admit to the crime of murder of Natalee Holloway? And as you're telling us, disclosing that he put her body in the water, although I don't know whether or not he disclosed specifically where.
The assumption being, Linda, that he just wanted to resolve it. The rationale is, a bit unclear. Obviously, he's serving the time that he's serving in Peru, the 28 years for the death of Flores, and another 18 years on top of that, apparently, for, drugs within the prison system when he was there. So, a total of 46 years. But what the judge said is that after he apparently he has 22 years left. That's what he has left. So after he serves those 22 years, then he will come back. And if he gets out early, he will come back. And he promised that in the plea agreement that he will come back. So I think the judge made clear that you aren't getting away with, not serving your time here, even if you get out a little bit earlier under the Peruvian, deal that he did there, the conviction.
Now, you meant something that anyone who followed this case knew. There was a question about whether other people were involved. I think he had a friend that night he was with, and also whether his father had helped.
Yep. We kind of knew. Let me tell you, man, I feel like the father, the friend, I think there was a cousin, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. It's been many years. But I have a feeling there were other people that were involved in this whole situation. Okay. And they helped cover it up. They sure as hell did.
Helped him hide the body of Natalee Holloway or dispose of the body. That seems to be addressed that he was exonerating his friends and his family.
Well, that was not mentioned today in court, but I will tell you that that's what Beth Holloway said when she came outside, simply that not that anyone was exonerated. Her exact words were, "I am confident that he is the only one involved." So based on that, I think we'll wait, obviously, until we get the plea agreement because we don't know what those details are. But it does appear as though no one else was involved, and he is taking full responsibility for his actions as they relate to both of these women, but particularly as it relates to Natalee Holloway.
And Terry, one final question before I let you go. When will we, the public, see the plea agreement that Joran Vandersloot
Yep, we
finally
want to see it.
admitted to the
We
facts
want
of
to see
killing
it.
Natalee Holloway?
You guys go vote on the poll.
Yeah, my understanding, Linda, is that they are going to release that, immediately after the sentencing. The judge finalized the sentencing, and it's all said and done. I will say she was excellent in terms of, you've seen these kinds of pleas before, I'm sure, Linda, where you go through the questions. Do you understand what your attorney said? Are you confident, about what you're doing here? It was scripted, I would say. And
My
so,
goodness.
I expect that right after today, they will be releasing. They filed all of the paperwork that they needed to right then and there in court. So my expectation is that we'll see that plea agreement relatively forthwith.
As usual, Terry Austin, great reporting. I know you'll be right on top of the plea agreement when it gets released to come back and talk to us about it. And I'm going to let you go now and follow up on that. And right now, we are going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will talk about this case and all the other cases we are covering. Stay with us.
All right, hold up, y'all. We're going to navigate over and see the full press conference for those that have not seen it, where Mrs. Beth Holloway speaks, okay?
Thank you all for being here with us this morning. My name is Plea, and I'm the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama. I'm going to make a brief prepared statement, and then I believe that Beth Holloway will also be making a statement.
Now, I have a question. Hold up. Did this man procreate? Do we know if he's got kids? Because I don't think he does. If I remember, I was like, man, I wonder if he has kids out there. I wonder if he has kids out there.
Today marks the end of 18 years of wondering what happened to Natalee Holloway. Now, Beth and Dave can rest, and Natalee can rest, knowing that justice was served. For the Holloway family, this has been a journey filled with patience, perseverance, and courage as they continued to seek justice for Natalee. I hope today will give them peace. I want to extend my deepest appreciation to the FBI, the Department of Justice's Office of International Affairs, the governments of Peru, the Netherlands, and Aruba, the United States Marshals Service, and the Shelby County Sheriff's Office for their efforts that helped make today possible. I also want to recognize from my office, Lloyd Peoples, Catherine Crosby, and Tanya Benninger, who worked tirelessly over the last year and a half on this case, along with many others in my office who have worked towards justice for the last 13 years. Also, I want to thank the court and the federal public defender and his team for their diligence and professionalism throughout this prosecution. Ensuring a successful prosecution took a great amount of collaboration, and I'm grateful for all of the hard work and dedication that has been devoted to this case. The world watched in 2005.
Wow. So he does have a daughter. My goodness. So he got who? So somebody actually married this man while he was in prison? Get the hell out of here. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. My sister-in-law was in classes with Natalee at U of U. Wow. That is crazy, yo. That is crazy.
As Beth and Dave Holloway experienced every parent's worst nightmare. As a mother, I cannot imagine the heartache, the sleepless nights, and the tears that Beth and her family must have shed of wondering what happened to Natalee. Despite their grief, the Holloway family kept fighting for justice for Natalee. Their love for their daughter and sister is what brought us to this day. For Beth and Dave and Matt, I hope today is not just about this sentence. I hope it's about healing, about finding peace, knowing they did everything they could for their daughter and their sister. I hope today will help all of us move forward, not in sadness, but in celebration of the incredible life that Natalee lived. Beth, may her memory be a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Well, today I can tell you with certainty that after 18 years, Natalie's case is solved. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. It's over. Joran Vandersloot is no longer the suspect in my daughter's murder.
That's
He
right.
is the killer.
That's right.
In the course of his felony prosecution, here for extortion and wire fraud indictment, he gave a proffer in which he finally confessed that he killed Natalee. He described when and how he killed her. He said that after killing her on the beach in Aruba, he put her into the water, and that was the last that he ever saw her. That was all verified by a comprehensive and conductive, conclusive polygraph test. Even with this confession, though, he can't be tried here for Natalee's murder. But I'm satisfied knowing that he did it. He did it alone, and he disposed of her alone. I won't give you the details of his brutal confession. Those will be forthcoming when the proffer is made public. You will also have details of the plea agreement which was reached, his sentence of the extortion, and the wire fraud will run concurrently with a sentence in Peru for killing Stephanie Flores. And that's fine with me. Thanks to a lot of very smart and dedicated people here, I got the answer I've been searching for the past 18 years. Joran Vandersloot's confession means we have finally reached the end of our never-ending nightmare. And for me, reaching the end of the nightmare, being over is better than closure. It's been 18 years since Natalee disappeared, and Natalee would be 36 years old today. I still miss her every day. It's been a very long and painful journey, but we finally got the answers we've been searching for all these years. We finally, today, we got justice for Natalee. So thank you all so very much and being supportive of us in our long 18-year journey. Thank you.
Shout out to Beth. I agree, Nebulous. We have to be careful. I was just curious to know if this man had children. I didn't know he got remarried or not remarried, married and had children. But children should never be judged for the crimes of their parents. But I would agree with that. I also think that you got to be careful what you put out there too, what you do, like stuff like that. I mean, there's a reason why they say you reap what you sow. You got to be very, very careful. And I'm so glad that he says, I wouldn't want this to happen to my daughters. Okay. Just it's crazy to me that it's taken 18 years and it's taken finding God. You know what I'm saying? But this is very, very true. If you don't want that out there for your kids, don't put that out there for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Did he say Natalee would be 36 today? Is it her birthday? I don't know. Ooh, is it? His daughter will be 9 years now. Wow. I think Beth waited. Yep. Yeah. I mean, she's never gonna see her father, that's for sure. If he has a daughter, I don't think they'll see each other.
When inside you said to the son that we did it. How do you sleep tonight? As a mother who has what she has today.
Yeah, I think we sleep well. I mean, this has been the most unimaginable journey, and I know everyone has been with us on this, and we are so appreciative of it. But for us to finally put this to rest and being over, as I said, it's better than closure because our never-ending nightmare had to end.
Natalee Holloway's birthday is on October 21st, 1986. So her birthday is in a couple days. Her birthday would have been in a couple days.
And we are so grateful that we can say that today, that it is over. And that is getting justice for Natalee.
He said to the podium, he's a changed man.
Any indication that with this confession there will be charges in a Aruba? Do you have any hope for that?
I don't. I just know that there are no charges that will be here for his murder, but hopefully maybe they will look into that.
Do you need that or do you have what you need?
No, I have what I need, but I have what I need.
Did you believe when he said that he's a changed man?
I definitely don't. I don't believe he's a changed man at all.
How did it feel to see him in the courtroom?
It feels victorious. I feel like you finally begin to transition from the victim to the victor, and it begins to make the pain and suffering feel somewhat less intense because you are here. You are at this point, the pinnacle of the journey, and you've gotten justice and you've gotten the answers you've been so desperately seeking. So it felt victorious.
Are you confident you got the truth out of it?
Oh, I'm absolutely confident. Yes.
That you had the opportunity to talk to Joran in the courtroom. What did you tell him?
I was able to tell Joran that I think in this long-ending nightmare, I was able to express things to him that I had been wanting to tell him, as far as, telling him who he is, and he is a killer.
That's right.
He will always be the killer. He will always be now the black mark in Aruba. He's
Yep.
now confessed to 2 murders. So
that was good for me to be able to tell him that and to share that.
Do you hope that Aruba maybe reopen case?
I don't know about that, but I'm just sticking with victorious right now. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about, in the courtroom, they said that you sat as he was explaining what happened. How was that moment?
It is shocking and it is horrific to hear a killer that describing the brutal things that he did to my daughter, Matt's sister. It's shocking and it is very disturbing. But it's things that parents have to know the truth. They have to hear the answers as to what happened in order to put this to rest and for it to be over.
Beth, did Vandersloot let you guys know others are involved? Did he act alone?
Yes, he acted alone. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, tell us about Natalee. Tell us about the 18 years before.
Natalee was very bright, very smart, dedicated young lady. She was on her way to college. She was headed to medical school after that, and I have no doubt she would have made it all the way. So we love her, we miss her very much, and we wake up every morning with thoughts of Natalee, but now we wake up knowing that we have reached justice for Natalee.
Hey,
So
she was truly the best sister I could have ever asked for.
Wow.
Have you said a full and complete goodbye to Natalee at this point? Have you visited with her in your own way and let her know that you have peace at home?
I don't really look at it as saying goodbye to Natalee, because we wake up every morning and the hope that filled her life and heart fills ours today. So we feel like we carry Natalee with us even forward now, and that's good. That's a very good feeling. It, like I said, it feels victorious. But thank you so much.
They knew it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
They knew that this man had murdered Natalee. They knew. Some of
Could
you guys
somebody-
are talking about Nancy Grace. Now, let me tell you something. If you followed this case from when it happened, Nancy Grace was very big on this case. I mean, Nancy was on it, giving commentary. I think back then she had her own show. I remember, like, on cable television, I used to watch it a lot. And she gave so much commentary. She followed this case. She did. So we got to play a little bit, because I would imagine that I think her commentary is gold here, because she was a huge advocate for this family at that time.
When we went to the tip of the island and saw the lighthouse where many people had said she had been buried, it was so desolate. It was so windy. Remember, it would blow things over. And that pack of wild dogs that were starving and their little ribs sticking out, just begging for food. It was rocky. Just the thought of her bones being in some makeshift grave there. And the story that Beth, Natalee's mother, told us when she was there, she got there the night she learned Natalee was not on the boat returning home. And she had been frantic, just out of her mind, looking for her daughter. She went everywhere, to the casino where Natalee had been, to the bar, Carlos and Charlie's, where she had been, the hotel, everywhere, just running. And the hours and hours passed. The police weren't helping her. And she went to this. There was a small.
And keep in mind, now it's coming back to me, the police was not very helpful to the Holloway family when all of this was going down. The Arubian police was not. And Sen Raisa, thank you so much for becoming a member, love. Thank you. They were not. So many years ago, you're right, SW. Like, it's coming back to me, because I remember I used to watch hours upon hours of this coverage. And I was thinking, like, damn, you would think that they would have been more helpful. Nothing. They really weren't.
Heal to that chapter. So tomorrow morning, it comes full circle. Joran Vandersloot, who, after he murdered Natalee and has never told the truth about what happened, he, of course, the judge's son, never gets prosecuted. There's no real investigation in Aruba. Aruba doesn't care about a missing American girl. They couldn't care less. They're all about protecting the father, the judge, and he's all about protecting his son, Joran Vandersloot. He leaves, he goes to Peru, where he kills another girl, Stephanie Casiana Flores, a beautiful young girl who he also happened to meet in a local casino. They leave the casino, and she ends up dead. He bludgeoned and strangled her dead, and then went out and got breakfast. 5 years to the day. He strangled and bludgeoned her dead, and then he went out and got like croissants and coffee and sat at the foot of her body and read his iPad and ate his breakfast with her dead body lying there. He
Yep. That's how it went down. Now it's coming back to me. They were not very helpful. They were very much about covering and the like completely dismissing any of the concerns. And back then it was I remember like it was a thing about spring break and high school students traveling, which I never had the privilege to do that. But I remember it was a thing where they minimized the travel at one point. People were concerned, parents were concerned. Going to Mexico, you would hear all these crazy stories about all this. And this is what concerns me because if this man was just so cold to killing young women, you have to think about how many other young women he might have encountered that are currently missing. They're gone, disappeared, never reported to the police, gone, disappeared because Joran did something to those women.
finally got convicted in Peru for that. Then that's why he's back in the States. He speaks to Natalie's mother and promises for thousands and thousands of dollars he will tell her where Natalie's remains are. She gives him, I think it was 25 grand, and of course he lies. That's why he's in the US. He was extradited here on charges of extortion and fraud. That's why he's here. Part of his deal, Cheryl McCollum, is that he's got to reveal the truth about Natalee. Fat chance. Fat chance. Why is this even happening?
Well, he originally pled not guilty. Then they worked out this deal with him where the FBI is supposed to verify every single thing that he's saying in this statement. I believe there's a chance they've already done that. And that's what they've been waiting on, for them to say, yep, we've kind of verified everything he said. We have found witnesses. We talked to the Capo brothers. So I'm prayerful.
You do know it's
that that's gonna
Calpo.
get answers. I
Calpo.
know.
Kalpoe. And you insist on saying Capo. It's Calpo. Calpo.
Well, they're POSs.
Who
I'll tell you
also
that.
need to be prosecuted. You know what?
100%.
You're right. So are you telling me you believe the story he's going to spout out tomorrow morning has been corroborated?
I believe that is what's happened. I believe that's what has been going on all this time. And that's why tomorrow they've set the date, because the FBI, I believe, has cooperated.
How many stories has he told so far, and what were they?
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Oh, that he dropped her off at the hotel was one. Then he left her at the beach. Then he buried her in front of,
Can you
this
slow
new
down?
hotel.
He did first say he dropped her off at the hotel.
This man gave so many freaking stories, so many things, so many lies. And this is why I'm like, okay, so if he's confessing now, but he's not including all these other people, is he also trying to cover up? Because I honestly think that his father, as well as whether it was his cousin or somebody else was involved in this mix. I can't even remember. It's been so many years. That he's trying to cover up for other folks. I really do think that he is, personally, because he's not one. He's never been honest. Honest. There's probably somebody else involved in this and helping him.
And took her out to see, or is he blaming his father since he gave his father a heart attack and the father died? Is he going to blame everything on his dad now? And we're actually going to eat that with a silver spoon? I will gag on that.
Nancy also said he threw her in a swamp. Remember that one? He also said he buried her, up in the hills where there's a cemetery. I mean, there's lie after lie, story after story. None of them are believable. None of them.
I'm curious as to why apparently the authorities are set to believe it now. I mean, his story, and I take that with a box of salt. But how could they possibly have corroborated any story that he's telling now this late in the game?
Unless the brothers have come forward, if they went and interviewed them, if there's other eyewitnesses, you don't know who all was involved. Mama had to know. Mama had to know that Daddy left and went somewhere. She knew they were on those computers typing like they were in touch with each other over email. She knows. Remember even the story Beth told us when Beth was giving them those bracelets and Mama just broke down crying and saying she was sorry. She's sorry because she knows the truth.
Do you think the way that they have corroborated it, if they have, is through, I remember his last name is Deepak, Satish and Deepak Kalpo, through them? And if so, why aren't they being prosecuted?
Well, we don't know what's going on over there if something's in the works. I think after tomorrow, they are not going to be able to ignore it anymore. It's going to be, full court press, I think, at that point, because whatever comes out tomorrow, and if it's been corroborated in any way, let's say she's been recovered if she was not taken out to sea.
You don't think we would have heard that by now if her body had been discovered or her remains? We would know.
I don't know. We just found out.
I think he put her in the water. Honestly, I don't think we're ever going to have a body. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's what it's like. He bludgeoned her to death and then he put her in the water. I don't even think we're going to ever really have a body or anything like that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean that I don't know how that is possible after so many years. But okay, so I wanted to break this news to you guys. First of all, it is great true crime news to talk about this, because for those that have talked about this case, followed it, was whether it's significant to you. I know it was to me because I followed it back when it broke, and also being young. I mean, we were about the same age or so, myself and Natalie. So I cannot even like wrap my head around all of this, and I'm so happy that the truth is coming out, but I'm also very concerned. And I also personally feel like he's probably covering for other folks. And also would I would plea and ask for them to look at who else was he around that is now missing? Who else was he connected to that is missing? Because if he found Jesus now, he might be able to talk about other cases or other missing women or other disappearances that he might be connected to. I'm just saying. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to be going live later on today. Okay, mama, I gotta go tend to baby bunny. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Okay. And shout out, thank you so much for gifting members, you guys, all of you guys, and becoming members. You guys are awesome. This is great news. I will see you guys on the next one. I gotta go blow my nose too. My sinuses are coming up. Bye, guys. Have a great one.